Here they are, my wicking pots. Greetings YouTubers, I am Rick the Tech Enthusiast here, and this time I have a request to create a video on my wicking pots and how they go together. Why a wicking pot? Well, first it has a large reservoir of water or nutrients available for the plants. The wicking action will help keep the soil stay moist but not wet, and not watering from above reduces the chance of fungus or disease. My tomato plants really love it. I made these about 2 or 3 years ago using a large plastic round bins I got from Lowe's and 2 medium plastic round bins I got from Target. They're nice with rope handles and have a slight taper from top to bottom. I started by cutting 1/2-inch PVC conduit about 4 or 5 inches in length and cutting an 1 1/4-inch PVC pipe about 18 inches long. After deciding where and at what level the drain or overflow pipe should be, I drilled a 3/4-inch hole on the side of the plastic bin. Unfortunately, this was too small, and I had to use a Dremel to make the hole bigger. Perhaps you may want to experiment a little with this or try a 7/8-inch hole, because after the 3/4-inch grommet is inserted into the hole, the 1/2-inch PVC conduit needs to be inserted into the grommet, and the grommet needs to expand. I also use a little soap and water to help force it in, inserting it about halfway. To keep the bugs out, I added a 90-degree elbow on the end with a custom bug blocker. I made a bug blocker by cutting off 2 about 1/8-inch slices from a 1/2-inch PVC conduit. I cut a screen mesh and glued the 2 slices together with a mesh sandwiched in the middle. I trimmed off the extra bits with a sharp knife, and that worked for about a year. The next year, I sandwiched a little weed block and used a little more PVC cement, and that seemed to do the trick. Above the drain pipe and the edge of the grommet will be the level of the false bottom plastic sheet. I fashioned the false bottom using a sheet of PVC plastic that I purchased from Amazon, and I used a router to make it round. I made several attempts checking the fit before continuing. Then I traced the 4-inch conduit around the center in pencil and the 1 1/4-inch conduit threaded fitting near the edge, and then concentric rings around the center. I used the rings as a guide to drill a bunch of 3/16-inch holes for drainage. The center hole is cut to fit the 4-inch PVC conduit, and the smaller hole is to fit the 1 1/4 threaded male to female fitting. And I made sure that hole was smaller and a little snug so I could thread it on. I then cut a square piece of weed block material bigger than the false bottom, and I cut out the holes to match. The 4-inch conduit is cut about 1 inch or so longer than from where the false bottom rests to the bottom of the plastic bin. I marked that location for future reference. After I was happy with the length, I cut a few notches in the bottom and holes in the sides, making sure they're well below the false bottom level. What's not shown is I also purchased a 4-inch coupling and cut 2 3/8 to 1/2-inch rings from each side of that coupling. This gave me the 4 rings I needed for the 2 pots. To assemble the pot, the modified 4-inch conduit is inserted into the false bottom. One of the rings, made from the coupling that has square sides, is added to the bottom. This one will be tighter than the other and will support the weight of the false bottom. Then the weed block goes on top, and I align the holes. It's easier to place what's assembled so far into the plastic bin. Keep the small hole rotated just off to either side of the drain pipe, otherwise the drain pipe will interfere with the conduit fitting. Next, fit the 1 1/4-inch PVC conduit into the fitting. I've included a cap to keep bugs out. This will be the fill tube. Screw in the fill tube hand tight into the false bottom, making sure that the weed block hasn't moved. Now for the wick. Here I use a 4-inch drain sleeve or drain sock. I was able to find a small roll at Home Depot. I cut a length about 5 inches longer than the modified 4-inch pipe I cut earlier. A knot is tied at one end and placed knot first into the conduit opening. Push most of it down. Once you pack the sock with soil, it will need the extra material to expand. Layer the sock over the top part of the conduit and add the other ring with the rounded inside edge down. This will make it easier. Now it's ready for the soil. Carefully add your favorite mix into the sock area first. Pack down the soil into the sock. Repeat this until it's filled. Continue to carefully pile potting mix as a mound in the center. Now slowly spread the soil to the edges of the interior. Try not to get the soil under or behind the weed block. Keep repeating until the pot is filled. I like to fill mine until about an inch or half an inch from the top. The soil will settle soon after you water it or after a rainstorm. Now it's ready for plants. As you see, I have the drain and fill tube towards the front of the pot. If you don't like the height of the fill tube, you can change it, well, next year. Anyhow, I hope this inspires you to create your own wicking pot. If you like this video, be sure to let me know in the comments section below. And don't forget to rate and subscribe. Thanks, and see you next time.